I want to start this video with a challenge, and I need you to be brutally honest with yourself. Now, most of us say we want to know the truth about what is out there. We say we want disclosure. But if the leading voice in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence dropped a document on your desk today that proved mathematically that the object currently moving through our solar system is not behaving like a rock, but like a machine, would you actually believe it, or would you try to find a comfortable lie to make it go away? I want you to go to the comments right now and type ready if you are willing to accept the data no matter where it leads, or skeptical if you think this is all just noise, because what I am about to read to you, the latest findings regarding Three Eye Atlas, is not noise, it is a signal. And once you understand what these numbers actually mean, translated from the dense scientific jargon into plain English, you might never look at the night sky the same way again. And the latest paper has just been released, and while the mainstream headlines are glazing over the details and the actual content is explosive, we are not talking about vague theories here. We are talking about hard data points, light curves, torque analysis, and spectral shifts that paint a picture of an object that is fundamentally unsettled. And if you have tried to read the raw report, it is dense. It is full of calculus and astrophysical shorthand that keeps the gatekeepers happy. But today, we are going to strip all of that away. We are going to translate these findings for the rest of us. Because the story this data is telling is far more terrified and exhilarating than a simple comet passing in the night. The first major finding in this new report concerns the heartbeat of the object. In the scientific community, they call this the light curve periodicity. But let's call it what it really is, the wobble. For weeks, NASA has been reporting that Three Eye Atlas is rotating, and that's normal. Everything in space spins. But the new analysis shows that this isn't a clean, simple spin like a top. The object is precessing, and imagine a spinning coin right before it falls, flat on the table, that shuddering, wobbling motion. That is what Three Eye Atlas is doing. The data pinpoints a primary rotation of 15.5 hours, but there's a secondary kick every 7.74 hours. Now, here is the translation. If this were a loose pile of rubble, which is what most comets are, just dusty snowballs held together by weak gravity, that kind of complex double beat wobble would tear it apart. The centrifugal force would fling rocks out into space, and the object would disintegrate into a cloud of dust. But Three Eye Atlas isn't disintegrating, it is holding its shape. This implies that the object has high tensile strength. In plain English, it is solid. It is tough. It is likely metallic or made of a material that can withstand forces that would crush a normal comet. When the report says anomalous structural integrity, what they are really saying is, and this thing is built like a tank. It is taking the stress of the sun, the stress of the spin, and the stress of the wobble, and it isn't shedding a single piece of its core. The second finding is the one that has everyone scratching their heads. The anti-tail. You might have seen the pictures, a bright spike of light pointing directly toward the sun. In standard cometary physics, tails point away from the sun because the solar wind blows the dust back. It's like long hair blowing in the wind. It goes behind you. But Three Eye Atlas has a tail pointing forward. The skeptics dismissed this early on as an optical illusion, a trick of perspective caused by the Earth crossing the comet's s-orbital plane. It happens, but the new findings debunk the illusion theory. The report analyzes the collimation of this jet. That's a fancy word for how narrow and focused the beam is. A dust trail caused by an optical illusion looks wide and fuzzy. This feature is sharp, narrow, and pencil straight. The translation: this isn't just dust drifting behind the object. This is a stream of material being ejected with force, and because it is pointing toward the sun, it is fighting the solar wind. Think about the energy required to do that. You are spitting into a hurricane and making it stick. The findings suggest that this sunward jet is effectively acting as a thruster Whether it's natural outgassing from a very specific vent or something else, the physics are clear. This jet is pushing the object back. It is a braking maneuver. In the reports, they describe it as non-gravitational deceleration. For the rest of us, that means the object is slowing down. Why would an interstellar traveler falling into the gravity well of our star decide to hit the brakes unless it wanted to get a better look? And then we get to the chemistry. This is where the report gets truly strange. Telescopes like the James Webb and Gemini North have been analyzing the light bouncing off the gas cloud to figure out what 3I Atlas is made of. Usually you see water, carbon monoxide, maybe some silicates. The new findings highlight a massive abundance of atomic nickel and molecular cyanide, but a distinct lack of iron dust. Here's a translation. In nature, iron and nickel usually hang out together. They're cosmic twins. If you find a rock with nickel, you usually find iron. To find a cloud of gas that is rich in nickel vapor but poor in iron is unnatural. It implies that the material has been processed. It implies that the object's surface is made of a specific alloy that vaporizes at high temperatures in a way natural rocks don't. The report notes this High-Nephi ratio as a challenge to solar system formation models. Let's be real about what that challenge is. It challenges the idea that this was formed in a chaotic cloud of dust. It looks refined. It looks like stainless steel melting in a furnace. When you combine the tank-like structural integrity with this refined chemical signature, you stop looking for a comet and start looking for a hull. But the most disturbing or perhaps exciting part of the findings is the trajectory analysis. This is the part that deals with where the object is going. We know it entered the solar system from a weird angle. The solar apex, which is the direction our sun is moving through the galaxy, it's like a bug hitting the windshield of a moving car. It came from right in front of us. The new calculations showed that the non-gravitational acceleration, that extra push I mentioned earlier, is not random. In a normal comet, jets fire randomly. The comet tumbles, the sun heats a patch of ice, it explodes, and the rocket's a random kick. Over time, these random kicks cancel each other out or make the orbit chaotic. But 3I Atlas, its acceleration is smooth, it is constant. The report describes a secular decline in orbital period, which translates to, this thing is under constant steady thrust. It is being steered not wildly, not aggressively, but gently and persistently. It's the difference between a car sliding on ice and a car being driven by a professional on a wet track. The adjustments are micro corrections, keeping it on a very specific line. And where does that line lead? The new data suggests that as it leaves, it will pass through a region of space that offers a perfect observational window of Earth for the next 5 years. It isn't just leaving, it is drifting into a parking orbit, a loitering trajectory before it finally snaps away into the dark. So let's put all these translated pieces together. What is the picture Avi Loeb's latest findings are painting for us? We have an object that is solid and tough enough to withstand a wobble that would shatter a rubble pile. We have a tail that defies the solar wind, acting like a forward thruster or a brake. We have a chemical composition that looks like refined alloy rather than dirty ice, and we have a trajectory that is smoother and more controlled than nature usually allows. The report concludes with a sentence that is typically cautious, stating that further data is required to rule out exotic natural phenomena, that is the scientific safety net. But for the rest of us, reading between the lines of the calculus and the charts, the conclusion is staring us in the face. Nature is messy. Nature is random. 3I Atlas is precise. It is resilient. It is behaving with a level of intent that makes the natural rock theory harder and harder to defend. Why does this matter to you? Why should you care about a wobble or nickel spectrum? Because if this translation is correct, it means the third iteration theory isn't. T just internet folklore. It implies that we are being scanned. It implies that the object didn't just stumble upon us. It targeted the inner solar system. The Wobble at 74-hour kick might not be a mechanical flaw. It could be a sweep, a sensor sweep, rotating to cover every angle of the ecliptic plane, gathering data on our atmosphere, our technology, and our response times. The scientists are doing their job. They are measuring the numbers, plotting the graphs, and writing the papers in language that keeps them safe from ridicule. But our job, the job of the rest of us, is to look at the translation and ask the hard question. If it walks like a probe, spins like a probe, and steers like a probe, at what point do we stop calling it a comet? The findings are out, the data is public, the translation is clear. And 3i Atlas is an anomaly that refuses to fit into the box we built for it. So I will ask you again, just like I did at the start, are you ready to accept what this data is telling us? Or is it safer to believe that the universe is just throwing rocks at us by accident, and the object is moving away, but the data left behind is going to keep us up at night for a long time? Go to the comments. Tell me if the translation makes sense to you. Does the nickel factory theory hold water? Does the braking maneuver explain the anti-tail? We are figuring this out together, one data point at a time. And this is the reality of 3i Atlas. It's unsettled, it's evolving, and it's definitely not just a rock. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep your eyes in the skies. Subscribe Quasix Cosmos and hit the bell icon for upcoming update about space.